The president's newest minister for agriculture is the MP for Ebetifi, Honorable Brian Echampo. Honorable, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, and good evening to your listeners.
Good evening. Before you move to Class 2, you should have gotten a terminal report for Class 1 that says you are promoted to Class 2. What is the report card on Planting for Food and Jobs 1 saying, for which reason we had to escalate to Class 2?
If you know the questions that were set in Class 1, then you'll appreciate the answers that were, the scores that were given for those answers. So I'm sure that for those who set the objective of Class 1, it has been very successful.
Does it mean that the PFJ 1 is completed, the books are closed on that, and if it is successful, how do we see it? How verifiable is that claim that there was a success? Is food in abundance, for instance? Is food less expensive and so on? What parameters are we using to measure?
Well, I don't think that anybody said that there will be an abundance of food anywhere. But as long as we don't have a shortage of food, it means that the program has been successful. And that was one key objective, to be able to stabilize production on our key crops. And the program was able to do that. The 2.7 million farmers that have been able to increase their fertilizer application from 8 kilograms to 25 kilograms per hectare across the country is an indicator that the program has been successful. So there are quite some good metrics that were established from the beginning at the government end, and that makes those with the marking scheme being able to judge with certainty that the program has been successful.
Now let's talk about Chapter 2. What are the key things that are contained in the PFJ 2 that was launched today?
Well, the key avenues for the delivery of the Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 1 was the Subsidy program. And that is where government year on year subsidizes fertilizers, seeds, and in some cases, mechanization services. The subsidy, as was being done, doesn't really solve the key problems that we need to transform our agriculture, which is access to credit, access to mechanization, access to improved seeds and quality fertilizers. The subsidy program in itself was not answering those questions. And if you look at our population growth and where we are going with the country's agriculture, then the subsistence way of doing things will no longer take us where we want to go. And therefore, the switch in trying to establish a massive access to credit, massive access to improved seed, access to agro inputs, which is the fertilizers, and agrochemicals, to be able to push our agri to where we all want the numbers to be.
Now, what are the key foods that are going to be on the agenda? Is it that Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2 has a target crop that you're looking at? Do you want to share those crops with us if there's anything like that?
Well, absolutely. We're going to focus first on the foods that are important to Ghanaians, that contributes to our dietary needs. So for vegetables, we're looking at onions, peppers, tomatoes, the famous onions and tomatoes. For grains, we're looking at maize, soya, rice, and sorghum, which is the grains and legumes. And then for plantain, tubers, and roots, we're looking at plantain itself. We're looking at cassava. We're looking at yam. And then we're also focusing on one protein, which is poultry, and the focus in poultry will be on broiler.
When you mention these targeted crops, what should we expect? What duration are we working with?
Well, we're clear in our mind that on these 10 crops and poultry, with the 5-year development plan that has been developed in 5 years, which is a new marking scheme that we're setting for ourselves as a country, not a marking scheme that Brian Champo is setting for his household, but as a country, Ghana. This is a new marking scheme that in 5 years, we should be food self-sufficient in tomato, in onion, in pepper, in rice, maize, cassava, legume, and yam, plantain. We should, in 5 years, be self-sufficient and to be able to export these produce that we crop, and also in poultry. Now, for some of the annoying ones that we think that is even an embarrassment, which is the importation of onions and tomatoes, we don't really want to get to 5 years. We want to make sure that by 2.5, 3 years, we are self-sufficient in those ones. So this is the new marking scheme under Planting for Food and Jobs 2.0.
Do we have the farmlands for it? Do we have the necessary inputs that we have put in place? Do we have the technology that is required for this agenda of ours? 5 years,
Yes.
very audacious, isn't it?
No, Maru, I'm in Tamale at the moment, and Tamale has almost 3 million, I think to be exact, 2.8 million in land, 2.8 million hectares of land, of which about 2.3 million is arable. Of the 2.3 million arable land in northern region, not the northern sector, 5 regions. I'm talking about just northern region. With the 2.3 million hectares of land, only about 800,000 is being cropped. All of the Netherlands, they crop on just 2 million hectares of land. Yet they are the second largest exporters of agricultural produce in the world. So if Tamale alone has more arable land, not Tamale, if northern region with its capital as Tamale has more arable land than the whole of Netherlands, then you can bet that the whole Republic of Ghana has more arable land to deliver on this agenda than before.
And do we have the resources for the farmers that they would require, fertilizer and all those other inputs that would be required?
So that is exactly what Planting for Food and Jobs is coming to cure. Today, with the subsidy program, for example, if fertilizer is 100 Ghana cedis, the government was given a subsidy of 15%. And so you need to still go and pay 85 Ghana cedis, and this is an example, a hypothetical situation. You need to go and pay 85 Ghana cedis, out of pocket to buy the subsidized fertilizer. What we are saying is that you don't have to, because if you have to pay out of pocket to Umaru, you need to borrow. And we know if you are Umaru Sanda and you are going to borrow, you're going to pay about 35% on the 85 Ghana cedis that you are borrowing. So we are saying that even if you, without a subsidy, if you under the PFJ program, you just give the fertilizer to the person at 100 Ghana cedis. Let them pay the full price. But this time round, we are encouraging the fertilizer suppliers with the backing of government, using government's power to assure Yara that give the fertilizer to Umaru Sanda. Umaru Sanda's farm has been polygon mapped. We know when you crop, the extension officers are with you. When you harvest your crop, we will take maize to the tune of 100 Ghana cedis to go and pay the fertilizer. So you realize that unlike previously, where the farmer is going to take 85 cedis to go and buy the subsidized fertilizer, this time round, the farmer is getting the fertilizer at the full price, but he doesn't have to borrow any money to go and get the fertilizer. Same for seeds, same for fertilizer. Same for seeds, same for machinery services. So today, as I mentioned during the lunch, if you want to go into agriculture, Umaru, as I put it, once you have the land and you have the rights to crop on the land, government will facilitate for you to get what it takes from land development, seed, fertilizer, for you to be able to crop. And when you have cropped, we will take the portion of the investment that was committed to you to pay for those who gave you the crop. That is a new system that we're going to run.
Very well. I have an acre at Australia Junction. I would come to you with a request, and I'm sure I'm just going to fold my arms and watch you help me develop.
Well,
Thank you.
That is actually that is how you watch TV. If you want to go into agriculture, the module is different. We will assign you.
I wear Wellington boots.
I will assign you to aggregator, and we'll make sure that when you collect the inputs, you go and farm so that we can get our money back.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, and I wish you all the best, sir.
Thank you. We need it.